didn't really clean the cutting board. That's alright. I'm the only one eating off of it. I'm not a big fan of tomato soup because most of the canned tomato soups are too sweet. At least in the US. We put a lot of sugar in things. Even our bread. Like white bread here is super sweet. You don't realize that until you eat it with like until you compare it to like a nice sourdough or something. Or if you just eat it by itself. Like if you're really struggling and you need a depression meal just to like eat something. And I've just eaten bread by like just a slice of bread by itself. It's very sweet. Another thing I've noticed while rewatching my VODs is that I have a lisp now. I did not used to have one. And I'm going to blame my wisdom teeth for pushing all my teeth out of alignment in the front. It's pissing me off. It annoys me greatly. I hate it. Now the best thing to use for this is real butter, but I prefer to not gain a bunch of weight because of my poor diet. So I use margarine, like really low cal margarine, but because I also use a shit ton. I woke Maisie up from her nap too early. I thought it was later than it was. And she's hungry now. I never liked tomato soup too much either. I love tomato sauce. Like if it was like a bowl of like chunky tomato sauce, I would be really on board with that. Now I just use salsa. Salsa is the S tier dip slash topping for grilled cheese in my opinion. Forget tortilla chips, I eat all my salsa with grilled cheese now. I don't care about crumbs in my butter because I'm the only one eating it. Now, ideally the, I use this shitty generic American cheese because I'm poor. It actually works really well for melting at least. Like, it melts really well. It gives you that, I guess there's like a thing on YouTube where people fake their cheese pulls. As in, like, they'll use really good quality cheese, but right where they cut the grilled cheese, they'll put like a slice of this Kraft single shit in there instead, because it makes the cheese pull apart look like way better visually, but it's not actually realistic to the recipe, which is interesting. I think I only found out about it because I literally saw like a short or something by someone that said like, this is how I exposed cooking channels for faking their cheese pulls. Because it is, I mean, it's not wrong that like this kind of generic over-processed cheese does melt and like make that really fancy, good-looking sort of Kraft single pull apart. Like, it looks visually good. It's not the bestest. I don't want to use 2 full slices of cheese. But ideally, I ran out of giardiniera. I used giardiniera relish for my grilled cheese, but I'm out because you can only get this shit in Chicago. This is what I usually put on it if it had stuff in it, but it does not. When I make grilled cheese with that, the only cheese that really works well with giardiniera is, or the one cheese that makes the perfect grilled cheese is Land O'Lakes American. It doesn't have to be white or yellow American, as long as it's Land O'Lakes American. I don't think there's a difference between the colors. They don't taste any different. It's just whether or not there's dye. But, should I put a little bit of Tabasco? And I just use generic salsa. But it's gotta be, like, not like the old El Paso, like, jarred shit, but the, like, the restaurant style fresh salsa. And since I'm the only one eating from it, I just dip it straight into the salsa thing. Because I'm horrible like that. I'll add a little. I like the flavor of Cholula better, but Tabasco seems to have a bit more of a vinegary zing. And I like that vinegary flavor with cheese. But yeah. And this is the secret to, if you've already buttered both sides of your bread, put them together like that. That way you can still work on the inside without having to, like, put butter side down. And then lose some of your butter. I'm gonna cover this for now. Add a little bit of salt. And then medium heat. Yeah, I forgot to eat today. So it's grilled cheese time. I don't even preheat the pan. It helps the cheese melt a little. This Streamlabs app is both like better than Twitch, but also worse. Like, it gives me more freedom to add widgets and shit to the screen, but it's the most buggy fucking app I've ever worked with. Like, I can't see the chat. Oh fuck, I never thought about doing that for a spatula rest. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just using it. I just rest the spatula on here to press it down a little bit. I don't like the spatula rests because it's just another thing that you have to clean. If anything, I'll usually use like the dish that I'm gonna put stuff in. I'm trying to get my Benadryl out of here. It's a bigger pain in the ass to cook them both at the same time, so I just do them one after another, and then one of them is a little bit cooler than the other, so that I can eat that one first. Excuse me. But yeah, Land O'Lakes American is the ideal cheese to make grilled cheese with. Yeah, I'm just using the sandwich itself as a spatula rest. Once they started making spatulas out of silicone that doesn't melt instead of like regular rubber, it was a game changer. I'm not gonna lie. Though ideally for this kind of stuff you want one of those metal spatulas that you can scoop under it. If they made one of those with silicone coating, that would be perfect. Oh, it actually is time for Maisie to eat. Hi, you hungry? I have literally like spaced out while standing here, like not even moving, just standing here, then like, or rather dissociated. And then I like look down and it's like burning on the bottom. Like, I made my grilled cheese, like I blackened it on one side just by being too anxious to be cooking. Usually once it starts sticking together, that's when it's good to flip. Need more water? I used to hate this kind of cheese, but I've gotten used to it. It's way cheaper than the deli cheese, but deli cheese is always king. My first job was in a deli. I loved cutting cheese and meats. Well, my first job was at Chipotle, but I quit that after a day. Oh, I shouldn't have flipped it. It was actually not as dark as it should have been. They wanted me to do the register at lunchtime in like an office district. Like, it was not worth it. It was like $6 an hour or something. Back in 2004. All I know was I was trying to learn a really shitty, bad point of service system with a line of impatient office workers just going out the fucking door. It was not worth the free meal every day, which we had to eat before we opened up. So like, I had to eat, like, it was great the one time that I got to make like a burrito bowl while I was standing behind the line, but I had to eat the whole fucking thing before at like 10:30 in the morning. Like, fuck that. I came in the next day and I just gave him my shirt. I said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. POS, am I right? He's Snilk. Excuse me. It was much better just to work at the deli counter where I didn't have to deal with any of that money bullshit. But it actually got more of a pain in the ass because it was like, it used to be like a really old school machine that you weighed the shit on, so you just had to punch in like a 4-digit number or a 5-digit number that everything had labeled on the back of the sign, and then it would automatically tally up how much it cost and the weight and everything. Right before I quit, oh shit, it's really browned. Right before I quit, they got like new machines where you could just look up the number, which was fine for people who sucked at remembering the number. But for people, or even just like, you didn't have to walk far to remember the number. It was right there. And so like people who didn't like that, you had to go through like a menu to find the number for each thing. But the thing is, there was no short way to do it. So like you couldn't just punch it used to be you just punch the number in and then you throw the meat on the scale and then you hit enter when you have what you need, and it would print the ticket. And like suddenly it was like you had to like search through a menu, and you had to do like 3 or 4 actions before you could get to the number that you needed, and you couldn't just punch it in by itself. You had to go through the menu. And it slowed everything down. So like the old people that couldn't remember, that had really bad short-term memory were happy with the new system, and I was like pissed off. Man, the old men that would just throw the hugest tantrums, like, they were the ones that are, like, dead now. I had this guy that was just, like, screaming because he had to wait in line. And then when I almost got to him, like, we had a phone call, and I had to take it for, like, a catering order. And he was screaming at me that the person on the phone didn't have to take a number like he did. And I like looked him in the eyes and I told him, like, if you want faster service, we're hiring. And he like stormed to the front of the store saying he would report me. I never heard shit. Alright, I'm done. Let's brown this a little bit more. Thankfully he's most definitely dead by now. He had to be in his 70s back in 2004. Of course, people like that usually live into their 90s. And I used to work with this old Russian lady named Rita. She was probably not that old. She was probably in her, like, 50s. And she would always joke about how she wished that guy would come back because she needed a husband. And my friends would always come in because we had, like, it was at a Jewel Osco. So if you have like an Albertsons, that's what it was. And I used to bike there. And I would come home and I would be so tired, and my mom wouldn't let me sit down because I smelled too bad. I smelled like fried chicken. And she didn't want me to get that smell everywhere, which was real fun. But we had like a $2.99 meal where it was like a scoop of potato wedges and 2 chicken tenders, and my friends would come. And it wasn't by weight, so you just printed the ticket. So my friends would come and I'd throw like 6 tenders and like 4 scoops of potato wedges in a bag and charge them like $2.99 for it. I remember one of the ladies that worked the mornings, like, I took like a sample size cup of macaroni salad for lunch, and she like went off on me about stealing food at work and how she could tell on me and I could lose my job. These old bitch ladies. They were grandfathered in, so they actually made time and a half on Sundays, which is not a thing that happens anymore in the US. But it used to be. Just if you had to work on a Sunday, you got time and a half. I don't care about work smell. I smelled like delicious fried food and rotisserie chicken. My mom can get fucked. Anyway, I'm done. I'll see you later. Thanks for joining me.